right, Benji, we're gonna do this. Do you wanna come up? You can, but you have to stand on this. What are you gonna do? He's like, what's in it for me? Is there a treat? No treats are involved in the making of this video. This is a different kind of video than you're used to. I haven't done kind of a sit down chat with you in a minute. Oh, excuse me. But I'm still gassy, so at least that one thing remains consistent. I went on my Instagram and asked you guys to send me questions that were about me personally. I know I've done this with the assumptions video that was super trendy. Actually, Avery Ovard also did this on her channel. And I thought this would be a really good way to answer some of the questions that I get from you guys a lot, but I don't really have a video concept to answer them in. Benji just left the chat. I'm a very silly person. I try not to take life too seriously, but I do want to answer some of these questions in a more matter-of-fact, serious tone because I think some of you are actually really curious about these things. The first question is a question that I got from a lot of people. How do you eat so much junk food for your videos and not gain weight? That's very kind of you. When people say everything in moderation, it really is true. I eat a lot of fast food like once a week. I try not to eat fast food when I'm not shooting fast food content because I know when I do shoot on those days, I eat so much of it, I have to kind of pace myself. So usually on the days that I'm not shooting, I'm eating Brussels sprouts for lunch and eating healthy dinners that I cook myself with organic ingredients and vegetables. I used to sporadically go and get In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A or McDonald's, but now I really don't have the luxury of being able to sporadically do it because I do it so often for my content. So that's the sad part about it. I try to consolidate all of the many times I used to eat it into one day. Did I break my arm? This is another popular question. I don't know if you guys saw on my Instagram, but I fell down these stairs and I fell down really hard. And I have a massive bruise on my butt and I ended up with this huge welt on my arm that looked insane. It literally looked like a nipple and it is still welted. It is still very much bruised. I did get it x-rayed. It is not broken, thank God. How old were you when you had your first kiss? I actually did a video about this on my channel when I first started it. So I'll put an iCard here if you wanna get the answer to that. Have you ever experienced any pain with your fibroids? A lot of you know I went through this surgery where I treated 13 tumors in my uterus. They're called fibroids. They were causing me a lot of pain, a lot of bleeding, a lot of cramping. I had the procedure and almost immediately I felt better and it's only gotten better over time. I don't actually have pain from them anymore. Do you go to church? Matt and I have been kind of looking for a new home church recently. It's hard because you really have a lot of boxes that you want it to check, right? Like the right community. Is it close to your house? Is there good music? We have been consistently going to one church and so far we like it. What do you do with all the leftovers from your videos? Sometimes I save them and eat them later. Sometimes I give them to Matt. Sometimes I throw it away because it's just destroyed because my mouth and hands have been all in it. When Clever lost everything, did you think you've hit rock bottom and couldn't get back? Oh my gosh, the last year has been the most insane year of my life. A lot of you know Clever shut down. I was left on with a couple of other people to help kind of like take the brand and sell it to someone else. Everyone lost their jobs around the holidays. It was really hard to see my colleagues and people that I cared about lose their income, like lose their jobs. It was devastating. I really didn't want to see the brand go away. I mean, I did help build that company in the last 6 years. You never want to see something that you work so hard for just fall apart. I wasn't sure what the new era would look like. There's a lot that happened during that time. I might do a video about it one day. There was a silver lining in that for me because I had been asking for my own channel for months, years even. I was gonna walk because I really wanted to do my channel. I was able to start my channel, which is something I'd wanted to do. I feel so much more creatively fulfilled. I have owned my own business since July of 2017. I really wanted to run my own company. I really wanted to focus on my business, and I feel like this was the opportunity for me to do that. So it was kind of bittersweet. I'm gonna take a drink after that. Anyway, this one says, can you post a video on innerexia? Recently on an Instagram live, I kind of talk to you guys about the fact that I was anorexic in college. There was about a year stint there when I had a really bad relationship with food. It really took some of my friends sitting me down and being like, we see you, it's not cool. And you should have friends like that in your life. I know everybody wants friends who want to tell them, do you, girl, whatever you want. But I feel like you need to surround yourself with people who will keep you in check, because if it weren't for my friends at the time, I would have been struggling for a long time. Does pineapple belong on a pizza? I don't love pineapple on a pizza, but I also don't feel like we should be judging people about putting pineapple on the pizza. You know what I mean? If you're a person who has an opinion about fruit being placed in certain food dishes, maybe you need like hobbies. How did you handle the transition from being employed full-time to being your own boss? I feel like I handle it amazingly. I love being my own boss. I love setting my own work hours. I have an employee. I think my only struggle, to be honest, is my workspace is not conducive to work all the time, because my whole house is basically a set and there's equipment and batteries and wires everywhere. My hope for 2020, and there might be an announcement coming soon regarding this very topic, I hope to be able to get my office space set up as a studio, so I actually have a space to shoot in and a space to work in. Overall, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Are you pregnant? Well, I had a glass of rosé last night. I'm having a glass of homemade cold brew that I made myself. So as far as I know, no, but honestly, I actually don't know the answer to that question. Are you considering having a child? There's a lot that goes into answering this question. If you only knew what goes on behind the scenes when a couple talks about growing their family. A lot of tough conversations, a lot of considerations, a lot of timing things. There may be more content coming on this channel talking about this very thing, so I'm trying not to get too deep into it because it is really kind of a deep hole. To be continued. What are you most self-conscious about? I'm not really self-conscious anymore. At this point, I'm just like, well, can't change most things. Might as well not sit around being sad about it, because I have another, probably, hopefully, if God willing, another 50 years on this planet. And I just don't want to spend those 50 years worrying about something that honestly nobody cares about except for me. Who are you ready to risk it all for? Like a celebrity crush, honestly, is Oprah Winfrey. I have dreams of working with Oprah Winfrey. She's like one of my favorite people ever, and she's basically my celebrity crush. So how was your stress level when it came to buying a house? Oh my goodness. It was very stressful. My autoimmune disease, I went into this like season where it was flaring up really badly, because when you have an autoimmune disease, stress really screws you up. So I had psoriasis patches, and I get this inflammation in my eye that really is painful. Oh my gosh, you guys. I remember driving from the airport in Raleigh an hour and a half home Christmas Eve in a 12-passenger van, because Matt and I got the cheapest like mystery vehicle because we're saving money to buy a house. And we were driving home Christmas Eve trying to figure out loan stuff with our loan officer. I was driving down the highway in a 12-passenger van. Matt's on the phone with our loan officer, having to pull over. He was throwing up because he got food poisoning in the airport, all on Christmas Eve. And it was just the most insane time of my life. What's the moment in your life that without it, everything would be entirely different? I have so many of those moments. I feel like everybody has those moments. When you're going through them, sometimes they're really hard. Sometimes they're really painful. Sometimes they're amazing. When you're going through them, you don't necessarily know that they're so life-changing. Looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, this has been a crazy life. I could have never dreamed as big as the dreams that came true in my life. It really does, going back to faith, prove that God exists and there's a plan for everyone's life. And sometimes you just gotta trust that everything works out exactly the way it's supposed to. What's your best advice to newlyweds? Being a newlywed is a lot of fun, and it just feels so fresh and so new, and you're so in love, and everything is roses and peaches, and it's so wonderful, and it truly is. But always keep that childlike mentality in your relationship, where you guys are flirting and playing around and being silly and laughing and having inside jokes, because comedy will save your marriage long term. And if you're taking life too seriously, bickering about every little thing, although Matt and I have gone through seasons of that, but overall I feel like you have to have fun. When did you first get your period? I actually don't know how old I was at the time, but I was definitely like 13-ish. I was at summer camp in Missoula, Montana, theater camp, of course, and my mom just so happened to be with me. She was one of the camp nurses. So I started my period in a camp bathroom during a talent show. And it was kind of traumatizing. You're like, wait, what's happening? Am I dying? I really thought I was dying for probably 15 minutes. Have you suffered from depression? I wasn't clinically diagnosed. I didn't see a doctor who was like, oh, you're clinically depressed. But I definitely have gone through seasons where I didn't want to get out of bed, really depressive, hard on myself, sad thinking. Actually, I struggle with this every day at dusk. It's very strange. When the sun starts to set almost every single day, I have a bit of anxiety and sadness. It's kind of like the Sunday scaries, but every day. And I'm working on trying to change my thoughts at the end of the day every day into like exciting things. Would you rather be caught picking your nose or a wedgie? Definitely a wedgie. I saw this girl one time when I was growing up and we were playing and she was in a room by herself and she didn't know I was like walking in, and I saw her pick her nose and eat her booger, and it was so traumatizing. What made you want to start doing foodie videos? I mean, obvi food, but still any reason. I like food videos. I produced a cooking show at Clever. I was on their food show quite often. I like eating. To be honest too, from like a business standpoint, food content was fun for me to shoot, easy for me to shoot, easy for me to edit, and it reached a broader audience than I was reaching from just the Clever audience. I really wanted to grow my audience in a different kind of way. I love beauty, I love lifestyle. I'll be doing more of that on my channel, by the way. Food was it just made sense for me. How do you deal with moving away from your family by yourself? I was always kind of an independent kid, and I really didn't move to Los Angeles to escape my family. I think a lot of people move to Los Angeles because they're like, screw this town, I'm out of here. And I didn't really think like that. I really just felt called to be here and doing something, and I just didn't know what it was, and I really did feel like spiritually I was supposed to be here. So I still miss that part of my life, but I just knew that there was something else for me, and thank God I did. Not because I dislike where I'm from, but I have done some of the most amazing things out here, and I met my husband out here, so I'm really grateful that I took the leap. Why didn't you wait till marriage if you're a Christian? This is a challenging question. And I do feel like this element of Christianity was put kind of in scripture in order to protect people from obviously like diseases, which a lot of the Bible is like practical in that way, but also to protect you emotionally. I don't think it's a thing that's like God's looking down being like, because I said so. There's a lot of heart and soul stuff that can get caught up in having sex with a partner that isn't your forever person. And just so you know, it might not work out for you in a healthy way. I don't see it as a judgment for other Christians. I don't look at other Christians and judge them or their life. I don't think that's my job to do that. Your relationship with God is something that is yours, and my relationship with God is something that is mine. There's no expectation from God for me to be perfect. Like, it just is never gonna happen, and He knows that. That's the whole point of Jesus. Political views, Republican or Democrat? I really hate politics. I hate all sides of it. It isn't something that I spend a lot of time engaging with because it only makes me angry and frustrated. I don't know if I have an answer to this question. I will say I was lucky enough to grow up in a family where a lot of my family were Democrats and a lot of my family were Republicans. I was able to see healthy conversations between people who don't agree with each other, and I don't see that happening in our world right now, and so that's why I kind of disengage. What did you hide from your parents in high school? My parents were pretty cool. I didn't really like have a curfew. I was never told I couldn't drink alcohol. I didn't really have like that kind of upbringing where I have to hide things and sneak out of the house. It just wasn't like that for me, but I was a straight A student. I was an overachiever. I wanted to be president of every club and doing all the extracurricular activities. One year I made a C, and I knew my parents were gonna kill me. On a report card, your parents have to sign it, you have to take it back in. And so I signed my mom's name. My teacher realized that it looked like a child's version of an adult signature and sent it back to my house. They were so pissed. I didn't plagiarize anymore after that, at least without their permission. I feel like I've just gone through a very deep therapy session with no one.
This is very different, obviously, than what I typically do, but I also wanted to get real with you guys about some stuff that I haven't really talked about a ton on my channel. So I'm gonna go right now and shoot another video for next week. I'm really excited. It involves binging. Also, subscribe to this channel. Let me know what else you would like to see here. That's it. I will see you back here next week with an awesome video. I can't wait for you to see. It's gonna be really good, I promise.